Hey, what's going on? So, if you anything like me, you've been checking your updates every day, looking on YouTube, Googling, trying to find out if there's anything shaking with the Hurricanes as far as the transfer portal goes, mainly with the quarterback situation. So, I do have some updates today. Talk about there's two different well, there's actually four quarterbacks we're going to talk about in total, but there's two of them that look like solid potentials for the Hurricanes. Then there's the third one that made me chuckle a little bit. Yeah, I guess I'll say chuckle, maybe roll my eyes a little bit. And then the fourth one was just a total eye roll. Like, are you serious? Okay, so let's go ahead and get into it. First, my name is Jordan Harris. I'm your favorite host in the entire world, and this is Sports Truth. So, first quarterback we're talking about today is Jaden Mayava. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Mayava. So, we talked about this before on a previous video, and I was asking y'all, like, how could this player, how could he potentially get into the draft, or not the draft, but into the transfer portal still? Because I was pretty familiar with the rules of the transfer portal. I knew that they had up until the 28th of December to be in the portal. And I'm seeing all this, all this news and all these people in comment section saying that Maava's going to come to the Hurricanes. He's coming to the Hurricanes. Like USC people are saying that, and Hurricanes are saying that. So I'm like, if he hasn't gotten into the portal yet, and we already way past 28th, how could he possibly still be coming to the Hurricanes? I got more information on that. All right. So, like I mentioned in the last video, if you are a team that has a bowl game after the 28th, which is the actual deadline. So if you have a bowl game after the 28th, you get 5 days after your bowl game to get into the transfer portal. But once again, USC's bowl game was more than 5 days ago from today. So it's like, okay, if that's the case, are there any options, or is there any potential for him to get into the transfer portal? The answer actually is yes. And the way that you do this is it's kind of like a loophole in it. So you get 5 days from your last bowl game, but it can actually be backdated. You get 5 days to tell your team that you want to be in the transfer portal. It's not 5 days to be in it. It's 5 days to tell your team that you want to be in the transfer portal. So let's say if today I told my coach, like, hey, man, I want to go ahead and get out of here. If the coach is like, okay, cool, if you want to leave, I don't want you to be around, they can backdate your request to the 27th of December and say we were just late on getting this paperwork filed. Does that make sense? So again, if whoever you are watching this video, if you want to transfer on January 3rd and your team didn't have a bowl game after the 28th, your coach could easily say, man, you know what, just as bad as you want to leave, I want to have you gone. So I'm just going to tell the staff to backdate your request and tell the world that you requested this on December 28th. Even though you're telling me on January 3rd, I'm just going to tell the world that you requested this on December 28th, and we're just now getting the paperwork filed. So then you're actually able to leave. So that's the opportunity that he has to leave. If his coach is ready and willing for him to go, just as much as he's ready and willing to go, then he will be gone. That's how it works. So I finally cracked the code on that because I'm like, how the heck does that work? Why do I keep hearing this if we're way past that 5 day window? There's your explanation. All right. Second quarterback, talking about Mark Gronowski. He came from, or he's leaving South Carolina State. I wasn't super intrigued by him when I first saw his highlight tape, to be honest with you, mainly because he looked like a guy who wanted to run far before he was throwing the ball. Um, but the more I do watch the guy, the more I realize how dire our position is with the Hurricanes. Y'all can say I'm crazy if you want, and that's fine, but I think our quarterback position is in a dire state right now. I know a lot of people are waiting on Luke Nickel to come in and play quarterback, potentially starting as a freshman. And like I told somebody in the comment section, waiting on a freshman to come in and save your team is kind of like not having a job because you play the lottery every day. It's just not realistic. Like if you go and tell your lady, hey man, I quit my job, don't worry about it. And she says, well, how are you going to make some money? You say, oh, I'm playing the lottery every day. Don't trip, babe. I got us. She will quit you the same day, right? So That's what my mindset is on that. I think we're in a dire situation as far as quarterbacks go. So I think we need somebody with experience, even though he is I wouldn't say run first guy, but he does put his eyes down real quick on the line and take off running far before I'd like him to. But since he's got experience and since he's won two national championships, even if it is a division lower, you got to respect that. My biggest concern, though, I'll tell you this. My biggest concern outside of him wanting to run so much is just the level that he'll be stepping into from where he came from. So there's this. So if you just watch his highlight tape, you'll look at the players that he's playing against, and you're not seeing a whole lot of Ed Reeds out there. It's just not. Um, it kind of reminds me of a story of like when Bill Russell was playing back in the day. He won 11 championships in 13 years, and people discredit his championships because they say he was playing against a bunch of plumbers and mailmen. Like that's kind of what it looked like Mark Gronowski's doing out there. Uh, it also reminds me of a story where I saw a couple of years ago Peyton Manning and Marshall Faulk. So Peyton Manning got drafted to the Colts. He threw a ton of interceptions his first year. And Marshall Faulk was telling the story about when Peyton Manning threw an interception towards the beginning of the year, and they came to the sideline, they're sitting on the bench, and Marshall Faulk was like, "What'd you see?" And Peyton Manning said, "Man, I just didn't think that corner would be able to get there so quick." And Marshall Faulk was like, "Yeah, okay." So then he threw another interception, and this was towards the middle of the season. And Marshall Faulk again was like, "What'd you see in that one?" And Peyton Manning said, "I didn't think he'd be able to get there." Marshall Faulk was like, "Okay." So then he threw another interception a couple weeks later, and Marshall Faulk again was like, "So what'd you see there?" And Peyton Manning said, "Man, I did not think that corner could get there." And Marshall Faulk said, "Look, this is the NFL. They all can get there." That's the situation I think Mark Gronowski would get into, where he's playing against these dudes who run 4.7 40s, and now he's going to be playing against people who run 4.4 and 4.3s all over the field, and it's going to take some time to adjust to that. So that's my concern there. With him, though, there is an update on Mark Gronowski. He actually visited Iowa, which I'm not going to lie to y'all, seems like it would be a perfect situation for him coming from South Dakota State and playing for Iowa. He's a big, strong dude playing in the Big Ten. It just looks like the perfect situation, especially because he loves to run the ball, and they love to run the ball. They love a quarterback that can run the ball, not just run around people, but run through people. I doubt he's going to leave there without signing papers. That's just my thoughts on that. Okay, let's talk about the third quarterback that's on the list. This one made me chuckle a little bit. It's Jaden Rashada. If you remember, he committed to the Hurricanes in 2022. Out of nowhere, surprise to all of us, he ended up jumping and going to Florida because they offered him some kind of crazy deal. Obviously, an undisclosed deal, right? So he switched the last second, went to Florida. And then that deal fell through. Supposedly, it fell through. The NIL was a mess, and it fell through. He ended up going to Arizona State, played there, ended up getting injured, transferred again. This time he went to Georgia, which was a weird spot for me. I thought that was a weird choice. And then, as you know, Georgia's main quarterback, their QB1 goes down. I'm thinking Jaden Rashada is going to get into the game, but Gunnar Stockton jumps in. So Jaden Rashada couldn't even win the backup role there, which is pretty concerning. I guess you shouldn't say real concerning because he is still, I guess he's a freshman, right? No, he would be a sophomore. I guess he'd be a sophomore. No, he's a freshman because he only played like 3 games or so at Arizona State. So he'll be a freshman coming into a sophomore year this year. So question I have for y'all is, if you saw rumblings of Jaden Rashada wanting to come play for the Hurricanes this coming season, would you have him or would you not? I'm kind of torn on that. Like I said, I think our Hurricanes are in a dire situation right now. I do believe that Jaden Rashada is super talented. He did throw quite a few interceptions in his freshman season at Arizona. He threw quite a few interceptions. And then also, if you're thinking like Gunnar Stockton did not look good in the game that he played. So you're like, man, if you can't do better than him, then why would we want you on our team? I don't know, man. We're in such a bad spot, but I honestly would rather just do a coin toss, man, and just run with our freshman quarterback, Luke Nickel, next year. or somebody else off of our team rather than having Jaden Rashada come back. I feel like when you burn me, we done, man. And as the old saying goes, when somebody tells you who they are the first time, you should believe them, right? He seems like he's in it like for like nothing but the money. He's just running around. He's just a hired hand. I'm cool on Jaden Rashada. That's my thoughts. But what do y'all think? Would you want Jaden Rashada on the Hurricanes next year or not? Last quarterback. Let's talk about the last quarterback that's in the transfer portal. This one made me roll my eyes so bad when I saw it. Tyler Van Dyke. And if you're wondering, like, well, why would that make you roll your eyes? That's not a big deal. Like, so what? God bless the dude. If he wants to go and transfer from Wisconsin, go for it. It's not even about that. It's about where he's going to visit. This fool is going to visit SMU. You got that right. He's going to SMU to do a visit there. The reason why I roll my eyes is not really about Tyler Van Dyke. I'm rolling my eyes because I get so irritated with this fool, Rhett Lashley, who's like, I don't know how he's doing this. I don't know what his game plan is. I really don't know. But it seems like anybody who's leaving the Hurricanes, he has just got like a beeline on them. I don't know. It's weird. This one's not so crazy because he actually did coach Tyler Van Dyke in Tyler Van Dyke's best years. So it kind of makes sense. But when you look at like Chris Johnson, like why would Chris Johnson go play for SMU? That was a weird connection. So I don't know. I'm just a little irritated with Rhett Lashley. It seems like any time a Hurricanes player is leaving, he's like begging them to play for him. It's a weird connection, man. It's super strange. Um, yeah. So those are the four quarterbacks. The last thing I want to say in this video is don't look right now, but Florida State and Florida, they making some moves, man. Florida State has signed 5 commits from the transfer portal in the last 3 days. And they're not like signing these horrible players. They signed some pretty good players in these last few days. So don't look now, but Florida State is trying to do something. I think they're 5th right now as far as the team rankings go on 24/7. I think they're 5th in the transfer portal ratings, I think. So, yeah, Florida State is trying to do it. And as y'all know, that's what Florida State does. They boom or bust, man. They either going to kill it in the transfer portal or they're not going to have such good results and they'll go 1-11 on the year, or 2-10 on the year. We've seen it, right? They're either going to win the whole thing or lose every game. That's what they've done in the last couple of years. Yeah, that's all that I got for y'all today, though. Florida, if you look at what Florida's done, they rebounded like crazy. They were the laughing stock last year. This year, they look like they might be kind of scary. So that's all that I got for y'all today. Please do like the video, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate the support as always. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I truly appreciate that. So take care. God bless. Peace.